Shunning that kind of self-pity kept our family strong. I carried my glass of water to the living room, taking small sips as I passed through the cold rooms. Everything was so quiet. Even my breath was difficult to hear. Was I walking in my sleep? But if I was, would I be having that thought? Would I be aware of cool water running across my tongue and down my throat? I went to the bay window that looked out across the flower garden, then to the wild growth of beach grasses and junipers and Monterey pines that stood between the house and the edge of the cliff, with the dark waves of the seemingly endless Pacific Ocean beyond. Perched near the edge of the cliff was a gazebo. Inside, clearly visible in the moonlight, was a woman wearing a white dress with straps crisscrossing the back. My sister, Sunday, had worn a dress like that to dinner the evening before. As I watched, she rushed out of the small, round structure. Another figure stumbled after her, grasping at the back of her dress, but she broke free and ran. The other one wore dark clothing and a jacket with a hood, impossible to tell if it was male or female. They chased after her, caught the skirt of her dress, and pulled her close. The two began wrestling with each other. The glass of water started to slide out of my hand as I realized the one wearing the dress was dangerously close to the edge of the cliff. I cried out, hardly realizing I was shouting, forgetting they couldn't possibly hear me. "No! Stop!" I slammed the glass on the windowsill, splashing water on my hand. Were they trying to hurt Sunday, or the opposite? Then Sunday seemed to collapse, or disappear completely, as if she'd gone over the edge of the cliff. I turned and raced out of the living room, through the foyer and out the front door. I ran along the path that wound through the garden and began thrashing through the wild grasses and across rough ground, trying to get to the cliff. There was a path, but the moonlight didn't touch the ground enough for me to see where it was with all the wild growth. Small stones cut my feet, and long, waving beach grass grabbed at my legs and the hem of my nightgown, slowing my progress. Finally, after what seemed like half an hour, but was only a few minutes, I reached the open space around the gazebo. The building was empty. Sunday and the other person were nowhere in sight. I moved carefully, stepping closer to the edge of the cliff. The cold was more intense now that I'd stopped moving. The wind was stronger, coming right off the open ocean. It tugged at me as if to pull me closer, pushing me to lose my balance. Looking over the edge made my stomach collapse into a thick liquid that felt like raw egg. One moment I wanted to jump off, to know what it felt like. The next, I was certain someone would shove me over and I would be crushed on the rocks below. As I looked down, I shivered. I felt my body sway. I expected to see a white dress fanned across the rocks around Sunday's broken body. There was nothing but darkness and a streak of moonlight across boulders dark with water. Could she have fallen where the moonlight wasn't touching the rocks? Should I climb down the narrow trail that led to the strip of sand and rocks? Should I get Michael? There was no longer any doubt I was awake, but had I been walking in my sleep when I saw Sunday and the other person? Still dreaming a dream that seemed so familiar? In that half-awake state where the mind creates nonsense stories? No one was here now. The other figure had disappeared as cleanly as Sunday. I continued staring down at the rocks, willing my eyes to see through the darkness, straining to find anything that told me she'd fallen, half sobbing in fear that she had. Why, when I looked over these sharp-edged cliffs, did I always expect to see a body on the rocks below? There was always a compulsion to look down, and always that expectation.